Hello, my name is Jacob Fields. My uh, presentation is over climate impacts and on biodiversity and environmental change. Uh, Climate change is having a significant impact on world ecosystems and biodiversity. Climate change is causing disruptions in species distribution, altering migration patterns, and raising extinction rates. The impacts of climate change are both widespread and complex. The complexity of climate change is heavily studied. Um, and the rise of global temperatures is contributing to other climate climate events as well that are having a negative impact on not only individual species but entire ecosystems. Some of the climate impacts include increasing global temperature, rising sea levels, frequency of severe weather events. Um, my findings: rising temperatures and other climate changes are driving species to alter behavior and phenology. The extent of the impact is seen across marine, freshwater, and land environments and ecosystems. Changes in marine life. Climate change with other human pressures have had devastating consequences for marine ecosystems. Um, Ocean warming and acidification affect marine biodiversity. Ocean warming results in other consequences such as rising sea levels, ocean stratification, and even the altered precipitation patterns. Um, Increase in the mean global sea surface temperature, the SST, um, has has increased by about 0.4 degrees Celsius since 1950. And these changes leads to shift um, in marine biodiversity, um, which disrupts certain behaviors and traits among species, uh, and which in turn causes a change and decrease in species interaction. Ocean warming is also linked to the decrease in Arctic sea ice and the extent of Arctic sea ice, so which goes hand in hand with rising sea levels. Marine life. Some marine species have benefited from these environmental changes, however, um, and that's mostly because of the reduction of some predators that aren't able to adapt. Some species are able to quickly adapt. Um, some adapt to are able to adapt to warmer water temperatures, um, which and we see some species moving further, I should say, like up coast and further inland to where there's warmer water temperatures, and find them in places that we would not typically find them, which it affects freshwater fish as well. Biome shifts. Uh, the biome shifts. North America is incredibly vulnerable, and one thing is that they are difficult to reverse once they begin, and that's because um, they're stabilized by feedback from the new ecosystem that's created. Some examples would be tropical forest turning into grasslands, and in turn would be grasslands turning into deserts through desertification, which it may be caused by drought or which it'd be hard to uh, reverse the change from a desert to a grassland. Extreme weather events are increasing in frequency and severity as a result of climate impacts. Droughts, floods, wildfires are all increasing and becoming more devastating. Human impact on climate change, which leads to these extreme weather patterns, have had a direct effect on biodiversity. Ecosystems responses. Species are forced to do one of three things. It's change, move, or die and face extinction. Species that choose to change as a response to climate change do so in many different ways. One of the most observed ways is by altering life cycles, which an example would be hatching earlier. Birds may hatch earlier. Certain reptiles, fish may hatch earlier, or plants blooming earlier, which we see earlier springs, weather warming earlier, and shorter winters, which would cause plants to bloom earlier. Species that choose to move as their response to climate change do so in order to find more suitable temperatures. Species move to higher elevations, which are typically cooler. So we see also an alter in migration patterns and species ranges, and find species in places that we typically wouldn't find them. Species that refuse or are unable to move or adapt their phenology face only one option. The option is to face extinction, which would eventually mean them dying out. The importance of conservation. Many individuals work tirelessly to fight climate change and improve conservation. Conservation efforts are often hindered by either social or economic problems. Short term, there's two types of conservation efforts: short term and long term efforts. Short term efforts work quickly, but often there's no plan in place to make them sustainable, whether that be for economic reasons or whatever the reason may be. Long-term efforts typically cost more money, and they don't work as quick as short-term efforts, but the goal of them is to provide a consistent and sustainable relief to climate change and impacts. Conservation strategies need to be two things, both proactive and flexible. The reason for this is as climate change and climate impacts are changing every day and becoming more severe, flexibility in conservation strategies needs to happen in order for them to be successful, so they can keep up with the changes in climate. In conclusion, climate change is happening at an alarming rate. Species and ecosystems are forced to either move, adapt, or face extinction. The main contributors to climate change are humans. Humans are able to mitigate climate change as well, though. Through smart, proactive, and flexible conservation strategies, it's possible that we can reverse and slow down some of the damage that climate change has had on species, ecosystems, and biodiversity. References. Thank you.